Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Marvel Damage Control. This is designed by Mario Kill and is published by WizKids. But before we talk about Damage Control, we just want to remind you to hit that subscription button and notification bell so you can see our videos as they come out. We come out with so much stuff. You want to make sure to be subscribed to us.
All right, you guys, we're talking about Ms. Marvel Damage Control. You might love watching these Marvel movies and just seeing all these bad guys get thrown through a glass window, right? Or you know what, the Hulk just smashing cars for fun, and you know you have all these different destruction and chaos everywhere, and it's so cool to watch. But guess what? Someone's got to clean all that up. And it's the damage control.
Yeah.
We are taking on the role of the damage control. We are basically trying to clean up all this rubble that's a result of a giant battle between our Marvel heroes and our Marvel villains. All right, so in this game, there's kind of a deck building element to it. You are trying to build a really fast deck in order to take all the things that you're finding, kind of collect them, right, and put them into your own vault, as well as recruiting some superheroes that you might come across along the way. All right, let me give you a quick overview of how to play. All right, here's our starting setup for damage control. This is our giant rubble pile. Basically, this is a whole bunch of different artifacts that are all kind of collapsed, all mixed together. There's going to be a whole bunch of standard artifacts, but then also there are 4 different kind of factions in this game that you can mix together as well. You're going to choose 2 per game. For this particular setup, I chose Pym Tech, and I chose the Vibranium Synthesis, which are kind of based off of the Ant-Man comics as well as the Black Panther comics. All right, so all mixed together over there. At the start of the game, every player is going to drop in 9 cards into that rubble pile to kind of mix it all up, and whatever their final card is, that's going to go face up. So obviously we've got a 2-player game going on over here. With more players, you do these kind of extender pieces in order to make that pile even bigger. Over here we have our different characters. So there's the same thing kind of going on. We have a bunch of standard characters, as well as we have characters specific to whatever factions we chose that game. So again, we've got the Wasp over here from the Ant-Man stuff. We also have Shuri over here from Wakanda. So we have all these different characters going on. These are characters we want to draft for victory points onto our team to give us special abilities. This is the main setup for players. We have a little vault here. We also have our player board, all different actions that we can take, as well as kind of a player aid over here. We have a starting hand of 5 cards, as well as we're going to add in one of these managers into our deck to give us a starting hand of 6 cards. They're all a little bit different that way as well. We're also going to start off with 1 influence. This is going to be kind of the currency of the game in order to use this to make special abilities, as well as to put things in the vault, which is going to be very important for victory points later on. There are 4 basic actions that you can do on your turn. The first one is uncover. So a card like this can do multiple things. This can either uncover, or this can do a demolish action. Let's say we want to do an uncover. So we put it above our uncover. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a card from the center of the board, from our rubble pile, that is not, it has the center back of it that is completely able to be seen. So for instance, a card like this, as long as that whole middle spot right there is visible, that is a card that can be uncovered. So once it's uncovered, you're going to basically flip it right up and put it exactly back where it was on top of the pile. The next thing you can do, you can use this purple action. This is called extract. That's going to allow you to pick up any of the piles in the rubble pile that are face up. So those cards go directly into your hand. So whatever you use to pick that up is going to go directly into your hand, ready to be used. There's also the idea of demolishing cards. So if you play a card that lets you demolish something, what you're going to do is you're going to take that card, you are going to discard it, and you're going to take 2 of the influence and add them to your supply. Some of the other actions you might see are all artifacts. The artifacts are going to come from that rubble pile. All right, so if you have something like this, it can either go into the artifact section, or because it provides an uncover action, you could also place it in the uncover section. Whenever you play an artifact, you need to check over here to see if it has any kind of cost in terms of influence. You have to pay those costs before you're able to play that card. So why does it matter where you're going to put these different artifacts? Well, you could put them over here, or you could put them wherever they provide their action. The reason it matters is whenever you purchase one of the characters, they're going to have some costs on them over the kind of this orange bar over here. So this one says, in order to purchase this card, that turn you would have need to have played 2 of those extract abilities, plus an artifact ability that has that particular super tag on it. So if you had all that, you'd be able to purchase Maria Hill. You'd put it down over here underneath your board, and then now it's going to give some kind of ability. In this case, this is an end game scoring card. It's going to give you some victory points at the end of the game. Some might be ongoing abilities that help you out throughout the entire game. Some might be activated abilities that you can only use one time. Others are immediate cards that as soon as you play them, you get that benefit. All right, the last action I want to talk about is the vaulting action. So this is going to be where a lot of your victory points come from. You need to play a card that has that vault symbol over here on the far left. You're going to do it above that vault, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take a card from your hand and put it inside the vault. Now, you can place starting cards there, however, they do not provide any kind of victory points. The only way you get victory points from the vault is if you put an artifact there. If you put an artifact into the vault, it's going to give you whatever victory points are on the top left of the card. So this particular energy pulse stinger is going to give you 4 of those victory points if it is in your vault at the end of the game. If it's not, you're going to get 0 points. This is just a special ability that you use throughout the game. So, but the characters are going to give you whatever victory points they're worth, as well as any of the end game text. And if you have any leftover influence, you're going to get 1 victory point for each 3 influence you have. So those are the 4 different ways you can get victory points. At the end of the game, you're going to add up all those points. Whoever has the most points wins the game. There's a couple of things I do want to point out. Whenever you do an uncover action and you reveal a new card from the rubble pile, what you're going to do is you're going to reveal some kind of event in the top right-hand part of the card. This blue symbol over here means you're basically going to add a new character into the character row. You still have a maximum number of 5 that you can show in that row, but what you're going to do is you're going to add to the leftmost column, and then you're going to kind of scoot everything over, and if there's more than 5 cards, you're going to kick out the rightmost card. All right, this red symbol up here, that basically means that you are going to add another card from the deck into the rubble pile. So that's going to maybe trigger another card. And it's going to trigger maybe another card, maybe another event. Whatever it's going to do, you have to keep on triggering all those events until you're not adding any more cards to the rubble pile. Also, I mentioned there's those 4 special decks that you could add in. You're going to use 2 of them per game. Each one of those has their own special kind of events as well. So for instance, the Asgard event is going to make you discard cards. Every player has to discard a card from their hand. Or the Pym Tech allows you to draw a card. So there's all different events that can happen. They're all different, but you have to make sure you keep up on those as you're playing. Another thing I want to point out is in addition to vaulting a card by using one of those little vaulting symbols, you can also pay 6 influence in order to vault a card from your hand as well. There's another way you can get some of those artifacts into your vault.
So I thought this game was very easy to learn. Like after you do 1 round of it, you go through your card, you put them in the different spots, you interact with the rubble, you're like, oh, I got this. Like it was a super easy game to pick up and understand. The reference cards, can I just say, I hate it when a game has tons of symbols and then they don't give everybody a reference card. They're like, you can refer to, the back of the rule book. Yeah, well, there's 4 of us playing. What do you want us to do? We want to know what's happening in this. We want to look ahead. Ugh. Anyway, this game does not have that. They have reference cards. And I feel like it was really easy and self-explanatory. And after you played that 1 round, you just got it, right? So I felt like this game was really easy to learn.
I thought that the deck building in this game was very unique. I love deck building games, and one of the signature parts of them is you start with a weak hand of cards, and then you're going to buy kind of next tier cards, so that you can in turn buy next tier cards, and then eventually have like the best cards in the whole world, right? You might even try to get rid of some of your old starter cards because you hate them and they're terrible. This game was much different. This game was too fast to really build a deck. What you were trying to do is you're trying to get cards into your deck, but then almost immediately you're trying to bury them into your vault. Yeah. There's no time to use them for their special abilities more than maybe once, maybe twice if things are kind of going a little bit slower. I thought that was the cards go straight in your hand also, which is another way that the deck is kind of differentiates itself from other deck builders. Rather than going to a discard pile, you might see it later. You get it immediately. Whatever it is you buy from the rubble pile.
You can vault it right away.
You can get it right in your hand. You can vault it right away. You can play it. So this game was very, very quick. You were just churning through things really, really fast, which I thought was a really, really unique take on deck building.
Yeah, so in this game, there's 4 different factions that you can interact with. You play with 2 at a time. And I feel like you can really kind of customize that depending on how you like to play. So there's cards that are really mean, and every single time they come up, you have to discard a card. That's the Asgards, right? But there's also if you play with the Vibranium, then everybody's just going to get $1 all the time. So you can kind of customize how you like to play the game, whether you like to be super attacky, whether you like the rubble to be messed with all the time and changed all the time, or whether you like to get money and not be nearly as mean all the time. Because when you're discarding cards and you only have 4 cards, it's it
hurts.
It's a big deal. But so I like that you can kind of make the game what you want it. You can kind of find how you like to play it and play with those cards.
I thought that the rubble pile was such an interesting mechanism. Yes. It almost felt like pick up sticks, So I thought that was just a really interesting way of revealing cards. A lot of deck builders have some kind of a lineup or various piles or whatever. No, this was one big messy pile that you had to kind of strategically pick things up from, and without messing up the pile underneath it, because it's just a pile of rubble thematically, which I thought that the way that the theme matched the mechanics was kind of a great way to do that. I wasn't expecting to see something like that in this game. I was just it's a deck builder. It's fun, But I did not expect this weird dexterity element to it, which I thought was really stood out to me. One thing I will say, whenever you flip over cards from those Rubble cards, all of them, every single one of them, and the top right has a event card triggered. So maybe it's going to be put more cards onto the board. Maybe it's going to be change out the lineup of the characters. Maybe there's some kind of special abilities. Whatever the case is, everybody does that thing. You react to whatever that event is on every single one of those cards. It's so easy, though, to forget to do that.
Yes.
So when you are playing, make sure everyone's watching. Make sure everyone is kind of hitting those, like, hey, did you remember to put that character out? Okay. Did you remember to put a new card out? So it's just, you want to make sure you're on top of that. You're always seeing whatever the event is and reacting to it, because it's so easy to miss that. Our first game, we missed like a half dozen of them easily.
Yes, oh my gosh, yeah. There should have been so many more cards in our first game.
We had like so few points. We're like, why? The game ended so quick. We had no points.
Yeah.
The game does end quick, but
it
should have been a little longer at least.
Yeah. So one of the things that I feel like can be challenging in this game, not the gameplay, because I thought the gameplay was very smooth, is the board changes so much by the time it's your turn, and your hand might have already changed by the time it's your turn. There's like zero planning ahead. So you can't like think about what you want to do while another player is playing. You literally have to wait until it's your turn. So in a 2-player game, that wasn't that big of a deal with the downtime, but I could imagine in a higher player count game that this would be kind of frustrating, because I don't mind like when there's a lot of time in between turns, when there's something that you could be actively doing on your turn, that you can be planning ahead, that you can be looking at the board or thinking about what you want to get. But you can't do that because the rubble like changes so significantly by the time it's your turn that there is no planning ahead. So
and the character row too.
And the character row changes a lot too. So there's like I said, there could be in a higher and the full player count game, there could be a lot of downtime. I didn't feel like there's a ton of downtime between 2-player, and I feel like once you understand the game, it would still go really fast, but that can be a little frustrating. Besides that, I thought it was a totally fine game. It's not necessarily my thing because of the theme, but the gameplay, like I said, was super easy to learn, super streamlined. I feel like this is something you could introduce to people. Like Ryan was saying that this is an actual like thing, right?
Yeah, there's like actually apparently like the damage control will show up in the comics to like help clean up stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it was a fun little nod to those lesser known characters.
Yeah, so you could definitely get this in the hands of somebody who maybe doesn't know they're a board gamer yet, but they're familiar with this. And I always appreciate when a game can get to people that aren't necessarily in the hobby.
I thought that this game was, as a deck building game, did some really unique things, but at the same time, I kind of missed that ability to grow your deck and kind of get stronger and stronger and faster, whatever the case is. I love deck building because of that engine building, but at the same time, this was so unique and different and fresh that at the end of the day, I was like, that was pretty cool. That was pretty interesting. Again, that pick-up stick style dexterity thing going on the board, that was really interesting. And I also feel like this game is endlessly expandable, right? So you had the 4 factions that it came with, but then in each one of them did their own thing, like Bethany was talking about. I feel like you could make more and more expansions. You could make a Guardians of the Galaxy one. You could make whatever. You could make... I can't even think right now, but you could make all the different kind of variations of Marvel, the Eternals. There you go. You could make just a faction deck that just has those extra little cards and still keep on adding to it. So that way every time you play, you have new things, new decks to work with. And as it is, the 4 that they come with, you can combine in lots of different ways and have your own experience. But overall, I thought Damage Control did some new things to the deck building genre that I had not seen before, or did them in new ways. A cool theme that matched the mechanisms, which I always love it when those two things match up well. So yeah, this is a good time.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider leaving us a tip or buying us a cup of coffee. There is a link down below to tell you about that. Until then, make sure to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out, and follow us in all of these places.
Yes, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.